Okay. So, in randomized experiments, this ignorability is expected to be achieved because by the mechanism of random assignment, you are randomly assigning people into treatment or the control. Right? So that way, you don't have to believe that the control group and the treatment group are systematically different in terms of baseline differences and effect heterogeneity. Good. Baseline difference and effect heterogeneity are summarized as the word selection to the treatment bias. So basically, experiments are expected to eliminate this selection to the treatment bias because they are just randomly assigning people that they're basically the same people in many ways. So that way, you don't really have to believe that there will be huge baseline differences or effect heterogeneity. Okay. So randomized experiments are one way to achieve this ignorability, and the most primary way to achieve this ignorability. In that case, ACE and naive estimator becomes the same because there is no baseline differences and effect heterogeneity. Any questions? So association becomes causality. So that was the whole gist of randomized experience and experiments and ignorability. And let's move on to some exercises on causal inference in terms of verbal thinking, really. So there. So let's start with the first question. People in hospitals are sicker than people those are not in hospitals. Does this mean that hospitals make people sick? That is the first question, right? Obviously, this is not true, right? Because those who are treated or become hospitalized were sick in the first place before getting hospitalized, or worse in health outcomes compared to not controlled or those who were not hospitalized. Good. Yeah. So this is a classic example of baseline difference, and you should be able to really think about what baseline differences can play a role in other research results or your own research results, really, in really navigating quantitative research. For example, like I think there was a. So I was taking this class, and then someone basically presented research results about whether justice legal justice systems are biased against people of color. And so basically the results said that African Americans are less likely to be imprisoned. And I believe, so the researcher was pretty confused by that. So, and then I basically suggest that this might be because of selection bias, or because policing system is racially biased in the first place. Then more weaker cases will lead to more of a lower probability of imprisonment. If that makes sense. Does that make sense? Yeah. So they could really play a role here in any research, really. So you really need to think about like what factors, what baseline differences in the. Any questions with that or? Nope. All right. I will cover the second example later, but I wanted to focus on this the third example. So it says people in religious cults tend to be happier than people who aren't. Should I join a religious cult? It's a question. So let's say I'm not a religious person. And then somehow these researchers are putting me in this religious cult. Okay? And then what would happen? I would be pretty unhappy about the treatment, right? So these people in religious cults are self-selected into the cults. So that way, they're happy about being in the cult, right? So they're responding to the treatment very well. So the treatment effects are positive. But for me, who is not really religious, would find the setting really disturbing or uncomfortable or something. And that way, my level of happiness will decrease because of the treatment. Does it make sense? Yeah. So this is an example of effect heterogeneity. So I think it's a good example of that actually. Any questions with that? Nope. All right. Good. Okay. So that was the last two lectures' content. But I also prepared some stuff about conditioning. So I wanted to cover some stuff about conditioning if time allowed in the first section, but there was no time in the first section, so I ended up covering a little bit about that. But I'll make it fair and then just cover just the things that were covered in the first section. Okay. So I will cover a lot of stuff about what conditioning means and what is going on with the conditioning. But today I will focus on the question of what is controlling and how it works. Okay. When people say this is the effect of race on wage net of gender, then what do they mean by that? How does that work? You guys passed statistics 1, and you guys learned what controlling variables are. So I hope that you might be able to answer the question, but it's fine if you cannot answer the question because that's why I'm teaching it now. So can you tell me how controlling works? So like, how can one assert that gender's effect is controlled out, even when obviously everyone's gender is different? How can you say that? Oh, sorry.
Is it where you take like the variance that is like taken into account by like a variable of gender, and then so it makes the overall coefficient that you're looking at kind of slowly attenuate because more and more of the variance is accounted for by other covariants, and now.
Yeah, that is more. Yeah, good answer. But it's more of a effect of controlling, right? Rather than how controlling works in general, right? Sorry. Yeah, but good answer.
I was just gonna say, if you're running a regression, like you wouldn't use gender as a variable, you would only account for the race. So just looking within a racial group or amongst racial groups, what the impact of weight is without considering gender as a variable.
Right. Yeah. But then, like, how that is more of the definition of controlling, right? That is a good answer, right? Yeah. That is more of a definition of what it means by holding other variables constant, right? But then, my question is, how does that work? When I like learned regression models, like as a first year grad student, I was like, how does that work? I was really confused. Like when everybody's gender is different, how gender's effect is controlled away. I was super confused about that. And then how they are asserting gender's like controlled away when everybody's gender is different, right?
Inception.
Oh, what?
So we cannot choose which genders someone may have. That's we can just design the different. Sorry, the inception.
Oh, what?
The
Uh-huh.
I forget the English word.
Oh, no, it's
So
Uh-huh.
so we can have different conceptual idea, the conceptual mind
Mhm.
about different gender. Yeah, we just assume someone is a girl or guy, so we have a different actual treatment about the problem we truly do research about. So
but then controlling is not assuming. It's not just about controlling the linear regression. Does not assume someone's gender specifically. It's just controls away gender's effects on wages, for example, from estimating the influence of race on gender,
Yeah.
race on wages. Yeah, good. Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry. So basically, it's the way how it is. Right. So there is two variables, x1 and x2. Okay. So we're trying to estimate this beta 1. So there's two steps. First one is run the regression of x1 on x2. Okay. And there would be some residuals, right? Like, oh. There would be some residuals, right? For this observation, residual would be, say, 2. Okay? You would have that residual for all observations, right? So you are making a variable out of this residual. Okay? And then let's call the variable as E1. And you are running the regression of y on E1. Why would you do that? Right? So basically, by running regression y on E1, you are trying to get rid of the linear correlation between x1 and x2, right? E1 is now not correlated with x2 because it's all residuals from the first regression. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. And then if you run this regression, then you would get the beta 1, basically. Or be able to estimate, you are able to estimate beta 1. Good. So that's how people seek to control away gender's effects when they are trying to estimate the causal effects of race on wages, for example. This is one way of different ways of controlling, and I will cover more of that, or I hope to cover more of that next week. But we do have a lot of stuff to cover next week, so I'm not sure if it's possible, but I'll try. I'll try to do that. Any questions with the controlling? No? All right, good. Awesome. Yeah, any questions about the labs in general or the class? Okay, great. Then I will see you tomorrow in lecture.